Erev Tov, everyone. There are certain values in Jewish thought that have influence in halacha. So even though they are not themselves necessarily a mitzvah or even an established halachic principle, they nevertheless influence how halacha proceeds and the methodology of dealing with halacha. So there's a remarkable Ramban in this week's parsha. In this week's parsha, we have the conclusion of the story of the daughters of Tzlofchad. So the daughters of Tzlofchad, Moshe agreed that they would have a share in Eretz Yisrael. So their relatives, their cousins from the tribe of Menashe came to Moshe and said, we stand to lose here, because if they marry men outside of the tribe, so eventually their share will go to the husband's family and it will go to a different tribe. And we think that that's not fair. The tribe of Menashe should retain the property that was given to the daughters of Tzlofchad. So the Torah tells us that the daughters of Tzlofchad agreed and that they married within their tribe. The Torah then chooses to teach us the laws of inheritance. In halacha, the son inherits the father. And the Torah says, if there are no sons, as was the case with the daughters of Tzlofchad, then the daughters inherit. What if there are no sons and no daughters? So then the Torah in our parsha says a strange thing. It says that you go laterally to the uncles, to the cousins, to the other members of the tribe, of the family. So the Ramban raises the question that all of this is discussed in Gemara and Bava Basra, in the 8th parak, in Yesh No Chalin. And there we have all the laws of inheritance as refined by Torah Shabbal Peh. And there we see clearly that if a father has no sons or daughters, he's not a father, but a man has no sons or daughters, and the man passes away, his father inherits first. In other words, we go upward in the direct line of descent of the family before we will go laterally to uncles and cousins and the other relatives that exist. So the Ramban asks, why didn't the Torah say this? If the Torah Shabbal Peh, if the Gemara and Bava Basra defined it as such and said that that's the halacha, why doesn't the Torah say it? So the Ramban says a remarkable answer, really an emotional answer. He says the Torah has a principle that's called Drachei Darchei Noam. The ways of the Torah are pleasantness. The Torah goes out of its way to avoid saying things that are unpleasant. That a father should, God forbid, have to inherit his son, the Torah didn't want to mention that. because it's not Jocher Darchino. The Torah knows that in Bava Basra, the Gemara is going to fix it up. And that we will have a decision. And that the father does inherit the son. But it's not Jocher Darchinoam to talk about. Therefore, he says there are many items in the Torah that the Torah doesn't talk about. Because they're not Jocher Darchinoam. They don't fit into that category of the pleasant ways of the Torah. So there's another example of this that, that's a remarkable Ramban. Another example of this in the Torah itself that the Meshech Chochmah discusses, the Meir Simcha, in his commentary to the Torah. So we in the beginning of the Torah, we have that the Ribono Shel Olam granted mankind mitzvot. One of the mitzvot was pru'ervu umilu estoretz, to have children, to try and build a family, then to populate the earth. We would have thought that perhaps there was no necessity for that to be said, but we see in our time that it definitely needs to be said. So the Gemara is in explaining the mitzvah of pru'ervu says, a really astounding thing. It says that the mitzvah is only upon the males, not upon the females. That a woman does not have a mitzvah pru'ervu. Well, we haven't figured out a way how to do it without them. So what does that mean? That the Torah said that the mitzvah is not on the woman, the mitzvah is on the man. So the Meir Simcha says that fits under Jocher Darchinoam. Torah would not command a human being to undergo 9 months of discomfort and pain and the risk of life and call that a mitzvah. Because the Torah is Jocher Darchinoam. It's the ways of pleasantness. So it can't be a mitzvah. The Ribono Shel Olam created that women have a maternal instinct. They wish to have children. So it all works out in a practical way anyway. But to say that it's a mitzvah, there are no mitzvahs that are meant to be painful, life-threatening, discomforting, etc. So we see that there's a category in how we view commandments in the Torah. Does it fit into Jocher Darchinoam or does it not? And if it does not fit into Jocher Darchinoam, so therefore the halacha that a Jewish army always had to ask for peace before making war, it's because of Jocher Darchinoam. There are countless examples. And we see that the Ribono Shel Olam himself, so to speak, is bound by this stricture. We see that by the incident of Avram Avinu and Sarah Imenu. The three angels who Sarah recognizes only as Bedouin Arabs come to the house, and one of them says to her, "You're going to have a baby next year." And Sarah responds logically, "After I'm old and withered, no lady, biologically it's impossible." And then she added the word "Vadoni Zokein." And not only that, he's an old man, Avram. He's beyond producing a child. The Torah continues to tell us that Avram then has a message from heaven. And they say to him, "Lama zed sochaka Sora lemor af umnam ele." How come Sora doubted it? How come Sora said, "Will I truly be able to give birth?" But the Torah did not quote the last part of what Avram said, what she said. The Torah did not say that she said, "Vadoni zokein," and he's an old man. Because the Torah knew he would be hurt by that. So the Torah played it on a minor key, left it the way it was. Because the overriding principle of Jocher Darchei Noam is a very strong one. And it should temper many, many things. So I'll tell you that there's a tshuva in the Chut HaMishulash from Reb Chaim Volozhiner about a woman that was an aguna. She had a husband that disappeared on the road. He's gone for years. No one knows what happened to him. She's still a young woman. Her life is ruined. And then what happened was that a Jew was in an inn, and he overheard two non-Jews talking how they mugged a certain Jew and killed him and robbed him. And they described what they took from him, and they described his clothing, etc. And the man said it matched what the missing person, his description. So the woman came with this man to Reb Chaim Volozhin that he should allow her to get married. Now, it's very, very flimsy evidence. There's no body. You're relying on non-Jews. You're relying on hearsay. But Reb Chaim Volozhin said, that's enough. The halacha ba'aguna is that we're mekel, so therefore she can remarry. So now we have another rule in Jewish life. There's always another rabbi. So another rabbi in Lithuania wrote to him, he said, "I heard about this case and your decision. And I don't understand where you had the ability to take away the Isur of Eishes Ish so cavalierly without really solid evidence." So Chaim Volozhin wrote him back that the tshuva itself is a masterpiece. He said, first of all, he said, the woman came to me, she didn't come to you. I see her tears, you don't. And he said, when it comes to freeing an aguna in Lithuania, no rabbi will do so without my consent. They think that he said, I'm the disciple of Gaon of Vilna. So like I'm the chief rabbi in Lithuania. So nobody will do it without my consent. So he said, so in his language is, Chishavti im koni. I had a discussion with God. I discussed the matter with my master. And I came to the conclusion that she's allowed to remarry. And she is therefore allowed to remarry. And he says that because the Torah says, Dracher darchei Noam. The ways of Drachei Noam in instances allow for creative leniency in order to achieve Dracher darchei Noam. So the beginning of it is in this week's parsha with the laws of inheritance. But we see it spreads to many, many other areas. And it's an idea that should be kept in mind when we approach great psak and great halacha. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer, what's HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Zakos Yisrael, Lefichach Hirba Lahem Torah Mitzvos Shenemar, Adonai Chav Zaman Tzidko Yavdil Torah V'Yavdil.